Go!
3, 2, 1, Ghost. Hey, everybody. Welcome to 3, 2, 1, Ghost. I'm your host with the silent G, Kyle, and as always, joined by my pal Natalie. Hey, Natalie, how are you?
I was better before I watched this movie.
Dang, okay, fucking you. She told me ahead of time that to be prepared for her coming in hot, and
Yeah.
like literally the first fucking thing, really. Okay,
Yeah. I said be prepared.
that's true. Hey, everybody, we are talking about an oldie. I mean, I think a goodie. I mean,
The
some people regard it as a
oldest.
classic. Is this the oldest one we've done? 77?
I think so.
Yeah,
Am
I
I
guess
wrong?
I don't know. I'm not going to check. Hey, everybody, we're talking about David Lynch's 1977. Let's see, 1997. We're perpetually stuck in the 90s, so give me some grace here. We're talking about Eraserhead. Now, this movie, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, let me go back real quick. Have you seen this movie before? And have you seen a David Lynch movie before?
Both great questions. No, I had not seen this movie before, so I was excited because might be like only the first or second movie that I hadn't seen before that we've talked about.
Hmm.
And then I realized after watching this movie once, because I was like, I'm not watching that shit again, that I have not watched any other David Lynch films. I've only seen Twin Peaks and then those like the movie that followed or movies.
Fire Walk with Me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a pretty fun one. That's a weird one
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Did you see the most recent season of Twin Peaks? That newer one that came out like maybe like 5 years
No,
ago?
I actually didn't watch it and I think I own it on DVD or Blu-ray.
There is an episode that feels a lot like this movie in
Hmm.
particular, where I was like, oh wow, man, he's really very dark, very brutal, like black and white, industrial, just that constant clanging noise.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a very, yeah, I don't know, it's very intense. And so like
Mm-hmm.
watching that episode, I was, and I by the way, I've actually never seen Eraserhead either. This was my first time watching it. So I think this is the first time we're doing a movie that neither of us had seen before.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Kyle chose it.
Yeah, I thought it would be really fun because I hadn't seen it. I know it skews definitely more horror for David Lynch's stuff. I mean, he always does shit that's like weird and off-putting and unsettling and
I
shit.
know. Do
But
you feel like this poor man is just plagued with nightmares in his real life? Because I feel like he has a lot of very creepy dream sequences as like a theme of his
mhm.
work. And I just wonder, I'm like, does this poor guy just wake up in a cold sweat every night?
He's a pretty pleasant man if you watch like just any like interviews with him, or at least he just seems like just this jolly, like quirky kind of
Hmm.
just elfish uncle. What I loved was during COVID, he would post like a video each day of him, like each morning, it'd be him, and he would just be sharing the weather. And it wouldn't be like he wouldn't be like looking up what the weather was in Los Angeles. It would just be him just in a room, just kind of looking outside the window and saying, like, it's sunny skies today. Looks like a nice day to be with your friends. Okie dokie, goodbye. And like it would just be that like literally almost every day. And
Maybe he
yeah,
should do that. That sounds great.
I like that a lot. Yeah, I think he would be a great weatherman. Um, so what I was originally gonna say is, yeah, so I've seen a number of David Lynch movies, and then of course, Twin Peaks, and this is a lot more straightforward than I
That's
thought it was gonna
amazing.
be plot wise. So
Amazing.
yeah, this movie's cast. Let me pull this up really quick. Um, the dude that plays Henry, Jack Nance, you probably would recognize him in Twin Peaks. He's Pete. He's the one who finds Laura Palmer's body.
Yeah, I was like clicking through people to see like I was like, I probably don't recognize them because it's 1977 that this like is happening and being filmed, but I clicked through them and was like, there has to be some connection or him having used these actors in different things. So that was fun.
Yeah, he's Pete Martell. And
Mm.
I like him in this. He does play like I love the way he plays Henry because I wrote in my notes, he is just perpetually worried
Yeah.
all the time.
I do think all the actors do a fine job. Like they're definitely in it and committed and very off-putting. Um,
100%.
yeah, and his hair and the way he's dressed is incredible. So I will say that. I love the white socks with those like high water pants. It's nice.
That that poster that has like just that shot of him kind of from below, almost like a Bride of Frankenstein kind of look,
Mm-hmm.
just the black and white with the lighting and the big
Yeah.
hair. And that was always just such a striking image to me, even though
Mm-hmm.
I'd never seen it. And
Same.
yeah, I don't know. I enjoy his performance. You have Charlotte Stewart as Mary, who, gosh, if anyone maybe looks even more worried in this movie, it's her. Because oh my
She's having
gosh,
a terrible time.
having a terrible time from the beginning. And that's the thing,
Yeah.
even before this weird monster baby shows up, nobody looks like they're having a fun time
No.
either way. Oh my gosh. So, Alan Joseph as Mary's father, Jean Bates as her mother, Jean Lang as that fucking grandmother in the kitchen. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Judith Anna Roberts plays she doesn't have a name. It's just, the girl across the hall. I just
Beautiful,
wrote
beautiful
neighbor
girl across
woman.
the hall.
Yeah, I just wrote neighbor woman.
Do you
And
know
then
who
you
she is?
Judith Anna Roberts. No, tell me.
She's Mary Shaw.
Shut the fuck up. You're right.
Yeah, that was my nugget of information because I looked at the photo of her on IMDb and I was like, damn, that sure does look like Mary Shaw. So I clicked on her. It is Mary Shaw.
Oh my gosh. Then I'm gonna humbly offer a industry legend award to
I think
Judith
that's
Anna
fair.
Roberts.
Yeah. What a
Oh
beautiful
yeah.
woman, both like young and aged. Her bone structure is, oh,
Yeah, very
love it.
striking.
Very.
Um Now the Laurel Neer, who plays the lady that's in the radiator, now that bone structure, I don't know what's going on.
I don't understand.
I just wrote like crusty moon face.
Oh, that's a good way of describing it.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then you have Jack Fisk, who helped finance this movie with his wife, Sissy Spacek, who plays the man in the planet that's pulling all those levers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just looking
With
real.
the weird skin condition.
Yeah, I think that's based kind of off a painting that David Lynch did. The guy that had like a bunch of like just, just sores and like vegetation growing off of him and shit.
I don't like that at all.
I don't
Mm-mm.
know. So, yeah, this movie is fantastic. In a lot of ways. I think that it's just I don't know. I think I just like David Lynch a lot. I don't feel like I need any of it to make sense. I just tend to just sit and just watch it and just let it carry me through. And then at the end, I can just put it behind me. You know what I mean? Like I don't dwell too much on like thinking about like what this means and what that means,
Mm.
you know?
No, I want to make myself very clear that although I didn't understand what anything meant, that doesn't bother me. That can still keep me entertained. Things don't have to make sense, but what they do need to be is entertaining enough that I want to keep staring at the screen. I was so fucking bored watching this. Most of this, like, there were parts that were more interesting. I'm going real hard.
Sure.
I'd say like every 15 minutes, maybe less, I had to pause and be like, "Oh my God, Kyle, why? Why did you choose this?" I think I even said it out loud. I was like, "Oh my God." And that's when I texted you, Kyle, dot dot dot, this movie, dot dot dot. It was probably about like 40 minutes into the movie that I texted you that because I was having a lot of trouble. Um, but there are things that I like about it. I will say that.
There you go.
But
I like that.
overall, I was very bored.
Yeah. That is okay. And I hope that this conversation keeps you engaged at least.
That will be more fun. I think the conversation about it will be more fun than actually watching the movie itself.
So let's hop right in, huh?
Let's do it.
So what's going on?
It feels the beginning of this feels like it gives me like Twilight Zone vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got you see Henry, he's coming up sideways. You have the that planet that's superimposed over his head, and
Hmm.
inside this planet you've got the lever man pulling the levers.
Hmm.
Okay. I almost
Which
have to
I'm like, is this Earth?
no.
Okay. No, I mean
I
like, is Henry on Earth?
I think so. I think
Okay.
he is maybe either having an out of body experience
Okay.
or um I was like, is this like a metaphor for sex? Like, is he coming right now? Is that what's going
Is
on?
there's like that weird squiggly
Be-
alien creature that's like over his face, kind of.
was- is that planet like a testicle or something? I don't know. Because I was thinking mechanically, yeah, I mean, I guess it's essentially how it works. You've got him, and he's got one thing on the brain, which is shooting out sperm worms or something. I don't know. And you've got inside the little man with the lever that's like, okay, you ready to go? You ready to go? Let's do it. Pulls the lever, shoots the sperm worm out of Henry's mouth,
Out of
and
his
then it,
mouth.
I think so, and then splashes in some water and flails around. And I think he was
Is the
having
water
sex.
Mary?
I think so.
So, okay,
Fluids were splashing.
you're gonna have to walk me through a lot of this because whatever thematic metaphors were happening, I was not catching. Like I was really trying, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna take everything real literal. That's what
Love
I'm
it.
gonna do.
That's a good way to do it. But I was thinking like, yeah, okay, sure. Like you've got the birds and the bees, even though I don't know exactly where that comes from, but don't
Mm.
need to look into it. You've got the whole stork situation, where like, I don't know who pays the stork and who the stork works for, if the stork's part of a union of baby deliverers. I don't know. You all know I'm pro-union, so I hope so. But so you explain that to children. I feel like if I had a child, I would explain it this way, is that there's a little man inside his testicle that's pulling a little lever that when
And then
you're
it comes out his mouth.
when your when your wiener's ready to go, you pull that lever. The little man inside pulls that lever and then releases what's going on. And that is the best I could come up with. Now, granted, this interpretation isn't foolproof, sure, as this movie goes on, but I like it though.
I'm not against it since I have no other explanation because I literally wrote down I just spent the last 5 minutes of this movie going, huh?
Yeah, I think you just spent the last 5 minutes just watching him come.
Yeah, I was just watching, I was like, what? Huh?
Yeah. Because later on, when he's having sex with the neighbor lady, like again, there's more like it's in that, foggy pool
Oh
with
yeah,
all the
yeah.
fluids
Uh-huh.
splashing around together,
Yeah.
it all
Which then is making me want to ask, is Henry an alien?
no. I don't think anyone's an alien here.
Then how the fuck did we end up with that little fucked up baby?
Well, I don't know. Weird stuff happens. I don't know. But or maybe it was like kind of like like a baby Jesus situation, right? Where like, it's this like immaculate conception, only like gone like real fucked up, and then it comes out with this like little worm baby. I don't
We'll
know.
get to that baby.
So we cut out of this sequence. I don't even call it a dream sequence. I don't know, but um you get your establishing shots of this city that
Hmm.
has a population of 4, 5.
Yeah.
Um, but this like really just empty. desolate, like almost, part of it looks like I don't know if you ever played like The Last of Us or something, or any sort of like zombie, like, years post
Like a
invade.
post-apocalyptic situation.
Right, we're just like,
Yeah.
it's all like dead vegetation, like trying to overtake like
Mm-hmm.
pipes and shit, and he's walking home with groceries. He gets to his apartment, um, and is stopped by his neighbor, who is one of
Mm-hmm.
the other five people we see in this city, letting
His
him
beautiful
know,
neighbor.
yes, Mary Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
You never see the inside of that apartment, so maybe there are a bunch of fucking puppets in there. We don't know.
Yeah.
I like that.
In her youth.
She gets a call from Mary, who is, I don't know what their relationship is. I guess girlfriend, maybe. I
No,
don't
no,
know.
she said payphone. She said that she called the payphone. So there's probably a payphone in the hallway and she heard it ringing and picked it up.
I didn't know you could call a payphone.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you know the numbers to random payphones? Does it is
I
it
think they
posted?
have, I think it's posted. So if you know that there's a payphone in someone's building, you can always call that payphone and then someone will hear it ring and be like, "Hey, what's up?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm looking for Henry." And then you'd be like, "Henry?" That kind of situation. Is there a Henry?
Yo, hey Henry. Hey, hey, hey.
Exactly.
I guess so. Because I guess he doesn't have a phone of his own, I guess.
Yeah, I would assume that that's their phone. I don't really know when this situation is supposed to be taking place, like if it's
Mhm.
actually the 70s, but I would think if there's a payphone, that would be the case, and then maybe not everybody has a landline.
Jeez. When's the last time you used a payphone? I
Oh
don't.
my gosh, I don't even remember.
Mm.
Probably like, were they still around when we were in high school? They were still around when we were in high school, but
Yeah.
like that probably would be the last time that I used a payphone.
Yeah. We were the first generation of teenagers to get cell phones.
Yeah, we were.
And that wasn't like early on
No,
necessarily,
like
halfway through high
sophomore.
school. Yeah.
Hmm.
So this woman that we don't know, this neighbor living across the way, says, "Hey, Mary called. If that woman means anything to you, her parents are inviting you to dinner tonight. So there you go. Do with that information that you will." He's like, "Okay, yeah, sure, whatever."
Yeah.
I still don't know what's going on with Mary Shaw over here. I'm just gonna keep calling her that probably from now on.
Yeah, that's fine.
Um, she's looking shady as hell. She looks like she's hiding something under her like robe or something. I don't know what's going
Oh,
on.
she's hiding something. I think you're reading it wrong. I think she is very interested in Henry.
Mm,
And it's like see, she's trying to be sexy, but because she's the woman who plays Mary Shaw, she's just
a
naturally creepy and looks sinister. So she's
little
like
bit.
hot and like creepy and sinister at the same time. And just, you know, just fading into the darkness, trying to entice him, I think. That's how I read it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like clearly,
I
because I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
she's all over him later.
yeah.
Um, he gets home, he gets settled, dries off his sock on the radiator. I'm assuming he's drying it off. Oh, it's right, because he
Yeah,
stepped
he
in the
stepped in the
puddle
mud.
earlier.
Hmm.
Right. So it's a little muddy, a little dirty, puts it on the radiator. And then you see like in both of the homes, Mary's parents' home and then his apartment, you have like piles of dirt and like
Hmm.
dead weeds and shit. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if they're
this is
dead
like,
because it's black and white, so it's hard to tell, but weeds and shit all over the place.
yeah, I'm assuming this is not a lovely building to live in.
Nor is Mary's parents' house, because that
No.
also like had a lot of that in there. I
I
don't know.
thought that they were in the same building.
No, Mary's
Oh,
parents, they
I
live in
thought,
like in a house.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, it just reminds me of, fuck, no matter how hard I try, when my wife goes on vacation and I need to water all the plants in the house, and she's a doll. She leaves little post-it notes that say like how much, like how many second pour of water does it need, how often to do it, and little check boxes so I can make sure that I did it, and this and this and this. And oh my God, no matter what I do, no matter what I do, um, the plants just start dying. And I'm like, I'm doing it exactly as he fucking said. Like, I get it. You don't want to freak out and overwater, right? I
You
know you
talk
not.
to them,
Are you asking me that? Or are you suggesting that I should have?
maybe both.
Why do you talk to your plants?
Not to them, but I've heard theories of if you are like verbal around your plants that it actually does help them to grow. And I thought that was insane. But then I started just commenting whenever like my plants had new growth, like, "Ooh, look at this little baby leaf." And they started thriving more. So, maybe she's like saying things like that, like out of excitement, and the plants are feeling talked up. You don't know.
I don't want to
Now
encourage
I
that.
sound like fucking David Lynch. Look at, see what's happening.
Things must not be okay with him and Mary because he goes over to his dresser where he's got his little water bowl that's in there. Don't understand what that's about. And but he has a picture of Mary and it's ripped in half.
Hmm.
But maybe it's one of those things where it's like, been
Maybe they got in a fight. Maybe they broke up.
a lot
Who
of people
knows?
get in situations where, on again, off again, on again, off again. Hey, don't we all have ripped up photos where we're
Yeah.
like, well, whoops, what can you
Oh,
do?
I have broken and fucked up shit that is not replaceable. So a ripped photo is nothing.
She, like I said, I mean, gosh, Henry's perpetually worried, and she is just even more so. I don't know, like just constantly just on the verge of crying until she
Well,
does
the
start crying.
the situation is very tense and very awkward from the get-go.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you let's assume they're in a situation where maybe they weren't talking because of the ripped photo, maybe they broke up, they had a fight, whatever is the case. Like, and then all of a sudden, like your ex's parents invite you over to dinner. That'd be pretty fucking weird. And like it didn't seem like it was her choice to have him over. So I think that is part of that, her like anxiety and stress, and also the mutant baby.
Right. And those are universal, relatable experiences, right? Where,
Sure.
you break up, it's not on the best terms, she doesn't like you, doesn't want you around, but is but gave birth to your monster baby, and the parents are like, well, it's his goddamn responsibility. We're calling him back over here, blah blah blah. Like it's a
Yeah.
common rom-com situation,
Yeah, absolutely.
so
The way that Henry moves also, like the way he walks
mhm,
and just like transfers, I say like transfers his body from like point A to point B because he doesn't
uh-huh,
move like a normal person. It's very stressful.
shuffles a bit.
Yeah, he shuffles.
Yeah, he shuffles a little bit,
He's
just
not
nervous
he's not
shuffling.
lifting his feet completely.
She finally invites him inside and meets Mary's mother. And then also the shot of just, I always get so worried when I see dogs. But yeah, that mama dog with all those puppies all like
Hmm.
nursing. I was like,
Yeah, I
oh,
was like,
sweet little
okay. I was
pups.
like, we get puppies.
There
20
you
minutes
go.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, a very weird, awkward conversation.
Can you imagine if people interacted like this?
Do
Have
you
you
tell
been in a situation that is this awkward ever?
mm, close?
I feel like I've been in like close situations, but like what was being said wasn't as weird, if that
True.
makes sense. Like it felt as tense and awkward, but the conversation wasn't as strange as the dialogue that's happening here.
I feel like I should, if I'm ever unemployed, I should tell people I'm just on vacation.
That was one of my questions. Is he actually on vacation? Because he says I'm on vacation now, which
Yeah.
is a weird way of wording it. So I was like, wait, is he just unemployed?
And then also at the same time, like Mary, who's also on the couch, starts like, I
Mhm.
guess, like I thought she was like seizing at
That's what
first
I thought
and just
too.
starts like kind of like panting. But then also the mom starts acting that way a little bit at dinner, but like kind of a hornier version. So
I
I
did
don't,
not read it that way.
damn, maybe I just like I just set my sights frame one on like, oh, this movie is about just horniness and just
I
re
mean, it's
regretting the consequences. I don't know.
not completely off base, I guess.
The dad comes home. The dad's a plumber. He makes sure that you fucking know that he knows a thing or two about pipes, and shit ain't like it used to be.
The
And isn't
dad
that
is
something we can relate
strange.
to? Yeah, the dad's really off-putting.
I didn't understand this whole new chicken situation. What? What?
That's a new chicken. They're smaller than the size of your fist. It's man-made.
I don't like that at all.
I don't like that at all either. But again, it's I was like just trying to figure out like I guess what's going on and the why, or at least trying to find, I don't know, like avenues to relate to this movie. Like, yeah, I mean, I think maybe a lot of the movie is about maybe fear of having children, right? Fear of, sorry, lack of a better term, adulting, you know. Um, I think you have,
David Lynch's daughter said that this movie is about his fear of having children. And apparently, she was born with clubbed feet and had to have a bunch of surgeries. So, this was like manifested out of that. So fucked up.
yeah, but I mean, it's like, I mean, something that's scary, that like,
Yeah.
something that, that you can't control, that,
Yeah.
that your baby is dealing with. And also just
Hmm.
like, as fucked up as this little baby monster is, I'm like, I still, when it was like crying and gasping for air and shit, I was like starting to like, oh my God, do I love this thing?
Oh my God, we have really different feelings. And I'm the parent of the pair, so
Yeah,
please don't come for me, CPS.
you're good. Um, and or just like maybe fear of having children in a world that's just like going to shit, Like I
Hmm.
think those are all relatable things. I think,
Hmm.
I mean, also you can kind of read it as dude won't be accountable, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
to the responsibility of making this fucking baby. Because I mean, like, I don't think it's Mary's fault the thing's a monster. I mean, you
No,
saw his little fucked up little sperms coming out of him. So
but he's more responsible than Mary. I mean, where the fuck does she even go halfway through this movie?
yeah, I don't know. I think she just goes home to her
She's
parents.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I'm good. You can watch this fucking
Wipe my
thing.
hands clean of this.
Yeah, good for her. If you can,
Yeah.
if you.
Good
um,
for her.
the other thing about this movie that's really off-putting is a lot's been said about like the sound design in this movie.
Mm.
And I agree, just that constant just humming and that constant just like static noise that just kind of gets louder and quieter but feels as like always present throughout is just this, again, I think meant to be just very kind of just unsettling, disconcerting, just kind of always like just keeping you off balance, I guess. I don't know.
If you remember our conversation about Midsummer,
Hmm.
that was one of my big complaints about that movie is that the sound design and like some of the music is really stressful, like especially when I watched it in the theater, like I felt overwhelmed by it and it made it really hard for me to enjoy the movie. That didn't happen with this movie. I actually enjoyed the sound in this and maybe it's because it was like keeping me alert, but I didn't mind it. I thought it was actually like it made it more tense, which I needed because I was feeling bored at times. So I
Yeah.
think that it was actually pretty effective.
So we've met both the parents at this point. I don't think Henry ever talks to the grandmother because she's just in the kitchen the whole time.
She doesn't talk to anybody. She's pretty much a fucking table. Like what the mom is like stirring like a salad on top of her fucking lap. Like there's no counter space, bitch. What happened?
I mean, clearly you saw the
And
kitchen.
then just lights the cigarette for her. She doesn't even have she's not even using her hand. She's just like puffing it. Like
I know. I love that. And I completely forgot about her because I it wasn't until they cut back to her later in the kitchen where I'm like, oh yeah, like she didn't join them for dinner or anything.
no, she's just in that fucking kitchen puffing
Um,
on that cigarette.
good for her. So they're at dinner now. Everyone's following, right? So they're at dinner now. Dad's talking about like, did he get his arm stuck in a pipe or something? Now it's
Hmm.
numb and he's afraid to cut it off. That's fair. I
Well, he
wouldn't.
said he did like exercises to get it to have feeling and move again, and that was
Oh,
working for him. He was like massaging it every day, and then he was like he'd work his way up to moving his fingers, turning on the faucet. So he's his own physical therapist, is basically what he's saying. Yeah.
good for him. That rugged individualism. So he's like, "Hey, I want you to cut up one of these little chicken buddies.
Ugh.
Can you do this
Don't
for
call them
me?
chicken buddies.
I
No.
want you to do this today. Can you cut up a little chicken buddy for me?" And it is cute. It's just like a little baby
I don't like I don't like the size and shape of
little
that thing
chicken.
at all.
Oh my gosh. He starts
I
he
will
just
not eat chicken for a long time after watching this.
and it was really up until this point, I was like, Henry, why you gotta look so worried? Now I'm like, oh boy, this is none of this is normal. And he starts cutting, and I don't know what's weirder. The fact that it starts bleeding and pussing and moving,
More blood than would be in that tiny little chicken.
or the fact that the mom across the table is like, I thought she was like having like a
Like she was like orgasming.
yes, like she's like got her tongue out, she's like panting, she's like
She's like
gyrating a
speaking in
little bit.
tongues.
Yeah, I mean, not quite Meg Ryan and When Harry Met Sally, close. Meg Ryan's just started doing that. And Billy Crystal's like, is that how you come? I love that.
It's
Um,
good.
did I not read that correctly?
I didn't read it as being sexual. I interpreted it like the same way that Mary had her, I don't know what you want to call it, episode on the couch.
Yeah.
Like she's I couldn't tell though if she was reacting from the chicken, this oozing fucking chicken,
Hmm.
or if they're just weird and that just happens every now and then where they just kind of, I don't know. It didn't seem sexual to me, but I don't know.
I don't know. Well, she does get like, well, like almost looking like sexually aroused and being sexually pleasured. And then she gets really mad and storms out, you
Yeah.
know. But like it shows, like she kind of like hates Henry, but then also she's super attracted to him because
Yeah.
she comes back and says, Henry, you and Nan need to fucking talk by yourselves. Mary also is
Uh-huh.
like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I am,
Yeah, she runs out like just outraged.
oh Jesus. And the dad is just sitting there, just giving him just the most just blank fucking smile. Mary's
It's
crying from the
that
doorway.
smile. If he looked pissed at him, that would be less scary
Yeah,
than that smile.
it's pretty creepy.
Hmm.
So Henry's probably like, yeah, I'll get up from this table. That seems like the best idea right now.
Yeah.
Even though mom's, weirding me out a little bit. I need to get out of this room.
I would have been like, well, this was great. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, I do not want to eat this fucking chicken. I am
I'm not
good.
eating that chicken.
Uh,
Absolutely not.
no. So they step out into the other room. Um, the mom is says, "Hey, are you fucking my daughter?"
I wish she said it that way. She said it creepier. Have you had sexual intercourse with Mary?
And I have had that asked by an
Oh, for
ex's
sure.
mother straight up.
I'm sure.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, just that deer in headlights. The world has just stopped. You don't know.
No,
You have to come up with something.
you always know what to say because dumb Henry says why. If your answer isn't no, your answer is yes. If you say
100%.
why or I don't want to talk about it or gosh, like no, that's a yes. Anything but no is yes in this situation.
But then you panic where it's like, does she already have information that you don't know? Are you lying to her? Because that would end up looking even worse, right?
I mean, unless that bitch has it on film, the answer is no.
So Henry did not do this right. And Mary shows up and he's like, help me here, please.
Wait. But doesn't, okay, this is where I think the mom is getting horny because doesn't she start like kissing up on him, like rubbing up on him?
Right.
That's what it looks like, right? What the fuck is that?
I forget if it's before or after she says that Mary had a baby. Like not even just like pregnant, like has had a baby.
Yeah, which would be really off-putting. Like how long ago did you rip that photo?
Well, and even then he was like, that's impossible. It hasn't been like
Yeah.
that long. To which she's
Yeah.
like, ha, see,
He
you
says
fucking did,
preemie.
didn't you?
Yeah, she's like,
Got
you
you.
fucker.
Ha. So the mom's like, well, you got to marry her now. So,
Mhm.
and raise this baby.
Naturally.
Yeah. And then and Mary's like, or, the mom's like, oh, it's at the hospital. So you can go see it now. And then Mary's like, hey, the doctors still aren't even sure if it's a baby. So I like that the doctors are like, what the fuck?
I'd be like, I'm sorry, come again?
No, don't come anymore. No, until we figured all of this out. Please stop it. And I mean, in his case, he's trying to find the silver lining here, I would think, because he's also like, he wants to be with Mary. So when she's like, hey, are you cool with getting married? He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta
He
process a
didn't
lot,
want to
but
be with her before dinner.
I mean, I think he did. I think he wanted her more than she wants him.
Okay, that's fair considering what we know for later.
Dad's like, hey, dinner's getting cold. What's going on?
He's like, you all don't want to eat these fucking bloody little chickens?
Yeah. So, like, to no one's surprise, no one's hungry, especially not for these little fucking hand chickens. I'm good. This is where it like cuts hard to
Yeah.
now in the future of some, or maybe it's the
Hmm.
next day or that day. I don't know, but
Well,
they're
no,
now,
because they're married now.
well, they're married and they're at Henry's apartment still,
Mm-hmm.
and she is feeding this fucking baby. And
Mm.
we get our first shot at this fucking thing.
I have so many
Um,
thoughts about this baby.
Now it's allegedly like an industry secret how they made this fucking thing.
Uh-huh. I read
Ale-
that.
and when you ask David Lynch, he is super coy about it or says like, you know, oh, it was born nearby.
Mm-hmm.
And like talks about it like it's a real thing.
Yeah.
This thing, it's like half like, definitely like part like baby lamb, part like ET head and neck, and also in like this weird cocoon mummy body, and what you think is like bandages.
I thought that, see, I didn't think it was bandages. I thought it was just like swaddled in a shitty little blanket,
Mm,
like a dirty blanket. That's what I
okay.
thought was happening. Because, you like wrap babies up so that they can't move or roll over. So that's what I thought was
My
going on.
my favorite thing about this movie is that fucking baby.
That baby is that baby's not human. I would not be taking that home from the hospital.
No, thank you. You can put it right in the
It is
trash.
so slimy.
A little
So
bit.
slimy. It's just wet. Like it's just constantly wet. I don't
Yeah.
like that. Did this come out of her? Did this come out of her vagina? I'm very
Yeah.
concerned for Mary's health and well-being, and I'm gonna need to be at that like postnatal appointment to see if she's okay. And also, whose genetics are these? What I have so many questions about this baby, but then it makes normal baby sounds.
Yeah.
I don't like any of that. None of it. And she's just sitting next to it, feeding it. How do you even know what that fucking thing eats?
I
We're
mean,
not
I don't know.
we're not breastfeeding. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, yeah, she clearly isn't.
We are
Oh,
not
come on.
breastfeeding.
It's little gummy little mouth. It's little pus liquids coming out.
No,
Wouldn't want that latching on.
no.
Oh,
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
you don't think I thought the whole thing was that, you love your baby no matter what. You see its weird, dark, black, glazed over eyes for the first time, and
And its weird mouth, its weird fucking spread out mouth. I
it's so bad.
I'll
Would you love that baby if that were your
um
baby?
I'll skip ahead a little bit in my notes here. I literally have written down, I'm sorry, but I would murder that baby. I would kill that baby absolutely 100%. If it made it home with me, which it wouldn't have, I would murder that baby in its sleep and be like, "Oh, SIDS." Like I'm sorry. I just could not. I could not. I would like to remind everyone that I am a mother
But not a
and
mother of that
not
thing.
a mother of a mutant baby. But I would not
I
even consider that to be murder since it is not a human being. I would assumed that like some weird immaculate conception happened from some alien. I don't know.
I mean, but okay. Like, let's put this in perspective, though. I mean, aren't all kids kind of just generally like damp and sticky?
Not little babies. They're actually quite dry and soft.
Hmm.
They get stickier as they get older. Like now, my son is sticky at the age of 9 because it's like whatever food he's eaten and sweat and dirt. It's
Yeah.
disgusting. But I mean, you don't even know that would work. Like what would work for a human baby would work for this baby. I'd be worried that if I was trying to care for it like a human baby, that I might make things worse, you know?
Hmm. I don't know
Other
if
than
that's going to hold
feeding
up
it.
in a court of law, but
So
I say
this movie's gonna make me just sound like a terrible person. I'm being honest.
so. Henry is, meanwhile, Henry is on his way home. He stops and checks the mail, and is that where he finds this little box with that little worm in it?
I think so. In the
Because
mail.
yeah, I wasn't sure if I forget if he found it in the mail or if he just already had it in his pocket. Because before he comes home, he does open this little thing, and
Hmm.
we will find this little worm later. I don't know what this is about. That's okay. I just wanted to bring it up because it happened.
It
So
happened.
he comes home. He just plops on the bed. Baby's crying.
Yeah.
She's like not. Mary's like not having any of this. You can tell she was coming
Good
apart
for
at the
you,
seams
girl.
already, and now especially so. Then this is where you get your first vision inside this radiator where something's going on.
Hmm.
I think this is when we see the light kind of glow from inside the radiator. He's
Hmm.
focused on it, and then we get the vision of this stage. We don't
Hmm.
see the woman inside the radiator yet, but we do see this empty stage that's going on
Hmm.
inside this radiator.
Which I'm assuming this is all like a figment of his imagination.
Maybe it's hard to tell like when
Like
the
what's
weird
real.
surrealist dream shit stops and ends, but
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes that's a little bit of a hallmark of some
Yeah.
David Lynch work anyway.
Yeah.
So Henry's still trying to make the best of the situation. He's like, hey, I've got a wife, I've got a little worm baby that's on my desk. I'm just gonna leave it there. Let's let's go to bed. He tries to cuddle up. She's like, don't you dare. Letting you fucking touch me is what started
It'd
all
be
of this.
like
And I will
that
never do it
that
again.
dick is never coming near me ever again.
Never.
I can't even believe they're sleeping in the same bed.
It's a one bedroom. I mean, I'd be like, you need to sleep. You'd take this baby and sleep in the
You all can
hallway or on
sleep
the
on the
couch.
fucking floor.
The baby keeps fucking crying. They don't even make it through that night because Mary gets up and she's just like, she, who hasn't run over to their screaming baby child and just yelled, just shut up, shut the fuck up.
I love that she does that, but I like because you are broken if you get to that point because I have never yelled shut up at at my son. But there have been times where he was crying so much that I literally just like sat down on the floor and like cried with him. Like that is a very real thing that happens when you have a baby or can happen, I should say, if you have a baby who cries a lot, but never had I yelled to shut up. That's like there's no love there.
You never thought it, just a little bit, just like a
Oh,
little bit.
in my brain, absolutely. In my brain, but like they are way more receptive to language even in early stages than you'd think they are. So
Hmm.
it's all about tone, you know? So you can't yell out, shut up.
Is that one of the things you're supposed to expect when you're expecting? I didn't read I mean, obviously, I'm not the audience.
I did not read that book. That's not true. I did read a couple pages of it about drugs and alcohol because I thought it was
Mhm.
so funny. It was like, if I've ever done cocaine, will that affect my baby? And they were like, well, don't do cocaine now.
Yeah, how much
but
cocaine?
but also or like but also if you've done cocaine in the past, just stop. You're good. Then it's like if I've ever done meth, will that affect my baby? They're like, don't do meth now. Like that's pretty much the whole book is what I
Yeah.
got from reading that one page.
So yeah, it's just don't do meth is the moral of that
Don't do
book.
meth. Don't jump on the trampoline, the usual.
That's fair. I mean, this is America, don't tell me what to do, but it doesn't count. Does it count as murder if, like, say you have a baby, you're pregnant, and then you decide that you refuse to leave this trampoline, and the baby, like, you miscarry somehow, or the baby dies somehow. Are you?
Wait, are you saying if you're still pregnant?
Yeah.
No, that's just a miscarriage then. You're just foolish. Like if you fall down the stairs and you miscarry, I mean, that's not murder.
Hmm.
Which is why when abortion isn't legal, women start fucking falling downstairs and shit.
Dang, that's wild.
Yeah,
That
it's
sucks.
really sad.
We promote women's bodily autonomy here on this podcast.
We absolutely do.
So, and Mary, we support Mary's right to get the fuck out because
Yeah, we
no, thank
definitely
you.
do. Yeah, Mary leaves and never comes back to this movie.
I felt bad. I was like, what's she doing at the end of that bed? But no, I think she's just struggling to get that suitcase out from under. And she's just
Yeah.
like pissed that it's taking so long.
She refers to the baby as it, which also is very telling. Like,
Mhm.
I feel like even if they didn't know a gender, if she cared for that baby, she would just refer to it as like a name or, even like pick an arbitrary gender, the way you do if you see a cute animal. You're like, oh, look at him, look at her. So there's just no love there. I do love watching her get that suitcase from underneath the bed because we've all had that moment of anger where you're trying to do something and it
Yeah.
just is it working? You're like, fuck.
And you can't, and you don't want to like break your fucking stare, and you don't want to lose. Yeah.
We've all been there.
Oh my God, have we? Huh? So she's like, okay, well, I need some fucking sleep. So I'm going to my parents' house. Henry's like, are you coming back tomorrow? And she's like, fuck you, I'll do what I fucking feel like. How's
We'll
that fucking
see.
sound? So later, which I mean, I think is just a long way of saying, no, I'm not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
she does come back very briefly, I
Does she? I
think.
don't even remember her coming back.
Or if it's a vision, she doesn't say much. She's just wailing around or something on the bed, or flailing around on the bed.
I think that is one of his fucking fever dreams or something. I don't think that she actually comes back.
Mm. So the baby keeps crying. He's on his own. He can't sleep. Henry gets up, um, tries to take this baby's temperature. That was like, wasn't it?
How do you even know what a normal temperature for that thing is?
I think you still operate under the assumption that it's at least part human in some way because it came out of a human woman, right?
I
So you have
know,
some
but
human DNA. I think that's just how you have to operate until you know what the fuck it is, right?
the texture of its skin and its sliminess
Yeah.
implies that it might have a different, like, what do you call it? Your like
Genetic
normal,
code.
like your normal body temperature, like
Mm,
might be different. I don't know. Like that little fucker might be cold blooded. We don't know. Does he need a heat lamp? Is that why it's crying? Like, I just, when he put the thermometer in its mouth, I was like, bless his heart for trying.
yeah.
Henry's a sweetheart for even putting in all this effort.
And then you have that hard cut to the baby now, like being covered in like, fucking like sores and
Like
shit.
chicken pox.
It's like, still shit's coming out of its mouth. You see its little
Mm-hmm.
tongue because like as it's gasping, like as it can't breathe. And like here, I'm feeling really bad for this
I would
little
think it's gonna
thing.
die.
I would at least be like, we need to put this out of its misery, or we need to do something to care about this thing. Because, come on.
You're so
I
you're so much kinder than I am that you were like, oh, I feel bad for it. I literally said, oh, good, I think it's dying.
I love that little thing. I still look so cute. I just want to pick him up and
Oh,
just kind of cuddle him and just be a little wet and
we
sticky
all
with him.
saw what was underneath those bandages. Ugh.
Yeah, he tries, I mean, he tries like kind of like a neti pot kind of thing to get him to
Yeah.
breathe a little better, you
Yeah.
know?
He's not the worst dad in the world.
I mean, is he? Because he tries to leave
He does. No,
afterwards.
I know that was the funny thing. I was like, oh, okay, we're treating this like a human baby, but we're totally cool with just leaving the apartment. But that that thing knew when it was being abandoned. Like
Yeah,
it felt it.
which was kind of cute, because he would start crying whenever Henry was trying to leave and then would, felt like soothe and shit. Would just go back to its normal gurgling and gasping and shit, when he comes back. But
Yeah.
so I don't know again ever what's going on in this movie necessarily, but um he tries to go back to bed, um still can't sleep. I don't think I see anyone actually sleeping in this movie. Everyone's just wide awake in bed all the time. um and then this is when he gets his first like extended vision in the radiator with
Hmm.
this woman
Hmm.
who's just lady in the radiator, I don't know. And she is very off-putting and weird.
Yes,
So
she is.
So it's a cute little dance, and you're having these like worms like drop on her or being thrown at her from
And
the
she's like
audience.
squishing them like on beat, like kind of tap dancing on them a little bit, which I thought was kind of fun.
I was thinking this was him masturbating or having a wet dream.
You're you were definitely either coming up with or like catching things that I was not comprehending at all. I
Because
my note
she kills the
says
little sperms.
you're like coming up with all these like metaphors and shit. I literally wrote, "Who is this bitch and what is wrong with her fucking face?"
I don't know. Like I said, it's just a crusty moon face.
She does that's a perfect way to describe it.
We knew people like that like had some real hard time with acne,
That
and
is not that is not acne.
no. So it's a little strange, but I do like just this like just like nervous kind of look she has like the whole time, like,
Yeah.
or this kind of like, yeah, uh-huh. Is this good?
Yeah.
Kind of look on her face. And then she goes and starts stomping out the sperms because you're wasting, well, not wasting, the sperm are dying because they're not being used to be dropped into this milk pool that I think is supposed to be the womb, right?
Perhaps. Yeah. I
So
like I like what you've gathered, what you come up with.
especially because like later he like wakes up and like has like all the worms like in the bed with him and he pulls them out,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
I think he's just coming all these worms left and right,
Which
whether he
also is
knows it
like,
or not.
is he human? Again, I asked the question.
I don't know. I mean, nothing explicitly says that he's not, you know?
I mean, that baby is pretty telling.
And then he comes back and he's maybe woken up. But Mary's back in bed with him. Remember?
Oh,
Because like that's
yes,
when he's
yes.
like,
And she's
move
like
over,
rubbing
please
her
move over.
eye. Oh, and that sound that it makes when she rubs her eye really hard. You know that
Yeah.
sound? Oh,
Yeah. Oh,
very
just a
gross.
very, very squishy sound as
Very
well.
aggressive eye rub.
And then she's like kind of like trapped in the sheets and keeps trying to
Mm-hmm.
elbow him and shit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, again, I know what that's fucking like. Like, I swear to God, we've got a California king, but I always find myself having only like fucking like a foot of the bed left between, especially if one of my fucking dogs wants to try and jump in bed and shit. But all of them together just elbow me, kicking me out. So I know what that's like. I was like, hey, I see you, Henry.
Well, I mean, also
This is your
there's
bed, damn it.
those squiggle worm things are also like all over Mary as well.
Yeah. So I
Because he's
think,
like pulling them. I see, I thought they were like coming from her.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I wasn't under the sheets.
I know. So I'm like, where are they coming from?
So he's throwing them at the wall, seeing what sticks. And in the meantime, I forgot when exactly this happened, but that little tiny box that had that little worm inside it,
Hmm.
he puts it inside this like little cabinet thing on the side
Hmm.
of his wall. I don't know what else to call that.
I
A
I don't
cabinet
know.
type of
Like, is it like
situation.
a medicine cabinet?
Kind of. It's like almost dressed like a birdhouse a little bit. No, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So that thing starts moving and scurrying a bit around.
Mm-hmm.
That's also very off-putting, seeing that little
Yeah.
worm just back on its little worm butt, just scooting around. Oh my gosh. And then I get, yeah, and then I think, does it like plant itself in a pile in one of the piles of dirt, I think, or like hides in
Yeah,
there?
it like kind of like digs itself, which makes me I'm like, wait, are we drawn to liquid or are we drawn to mud? What's happening here?
I don't know. So he's like, okay, I'm awake. And then the neighbor woman's at the door, if we all remember her. He comes back, he comes over, he's like, what's going on? She's like, hey, where's your wife? And he turns around, she's gone, vanished again.
Well, that's why I was like, was she actually there?
I don't know.
Because where the fuck would she have like she hop out the window?
Maybe, who knows? I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
can't figure out what's going on most of the time. But either way, she's gone. And then the neighbor's like, can I spend the night? Which,
Because she
it
locked
only,
because she says she locked herself out of the apartment.
right. Sure, she did.
Mhm. Yeah, can I spend the night here? Doesn't necessarily mean like do you want to fuck because she says she locked herself out of her apartment, but if she wouldn't have started with where's your wife, then it could have been like no, actually I really need a place to stay.
Yeah.
But that question is very telling of what the agenda is here.
And she is all about him. And literally nothing can deter her because if anything was gonna put up the best case, it would be this fucking thing she
I would have been
sees.
like, you know what? Never mind. I think I found my key in my pocket. Bye.
Yeah, who knew? Um, turns out I found my key. It's in my unlocked apartment. I will see you later. Goodbye. But no, she looks at that baby and she's like, I don't know what comes over her. She's like, I want you to put that in me too. I want to make one of those for you.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Gross little things.
And then they fuck inside this fog milk pool, right?
Yes, naturally.
And like both kind of like slowly submerge until like it's just
Hmm.
like her hair,
Yeah.
like just kind of floating up. And I get it,
Hmm.
she's like, I want to be underwater, but I'm like, those curls, you want to get that shit wet, you know? So she's like, no, I can only do this and let it float. Yeah, so they have what like I think is sex. There's
I think,
certainly an
yeah,
embrace and it submerging themselves in this
yeah. And
womb
they're
pool.
kissing and they're definitely naked.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a strange interpretation of sex.
So then she now is part of this weird dream sequence where like I think she sees the testicle planet and then sees Moonface Girl and she starts singing one of the more just very uncomfortable songs.
Yeah, of
Um David Lynch wrote the lyrics for this. Makes sense. But
course.
I forget the words, but it's just like, yeah, just in heaven, everything's good. Don't even worry.
No, it's everything's fine, which is
Yeah.
so much worse because, if
Mm.
like, oh, how are things? Fine. I would hope
Or
that
it's
everything
like,
would be great.
or I feel like it's like everything's fine in a very like, uh-oh, things are not fine. You were trying to trick me into something.
If you all could have
So,
seen the eye gesture that Kyle just did, it was terrifying.
oh
Everything
Jesus,
was not fine.
it's absolutely not. Um, then it like cuts away from her, the neighbor woman.
Yeah, she's gone.
The moon face is on the stage. Henry makes his way onto the stage as well.
Hmm.
It was like each time they like touched,
They
you
hug.
know, yeah, well, I mean, but they would like touch and then like, there'd be flashes of light, and then when they finally like embrace, then she vanishes,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. And then he's also getting, and then like she would vanish, and then he would get visions of the lever pulling guy
Hmm.
who just show up just looking all spooky and creepy.
Yeah, he's very creepy.
Then you have this like I guess it's like a tree that's like wheeled on stage.
Yeah.
this whole thing. And it's very, I mean, I think it's very beautiful. There's, a couple shots of like, like said, like, yeah, that weird tree. And then he starts like, freaking out a little bit, starts kind of like like twitching, fidgeting a bunch,
Hmm.
and then his head just pops right off.
Hmm.
I thought this was a good head.
I did
Like,
too, actually.
yeah,
Well,
looked
and
really good.
again, like, so his head like comes off and then he looks like the little baby. So in my mind, I'm like, oh shit, this is his true face. That's what I thought was happening. So I'm still under the impression that Henry is an alien and that was him showing his true face.
That does make sense. That
Hence the
tracks.
like I'm like, is that why it's called Eraserhead? Because his head fucking flies off?
Well, I thought it was Eraserhead because we'll find out shortly. They like turned his head into erasers,
Yeah. Well,
or his head's made of erasers
I don't
first.
they don't turn his head into an eraser.
Yeah, they do. Did you not
He
watch the
just
same
uses
movie?
an eraser like when okay, so
We'll get there.
yeah, because now he's just ahead and this fucking kid just picks it up.
Yeah, so his head pops off and falls on the floor, and in place of his head on his body, a little worm baby head sprouts out,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And the tree that was wheeled on stage starts bleeding profusely
Uh-huh.
all onto the floor, and then the blood soaks the head. The head falls through the blood floor, somehow makes its way outside, and then falls however many stories and smashes on the ground where this kid
Uh-huh.
finds it.
Yeah.
You'd think that kid would just be a little bit more upset by
Oh no,
finding a
totally chill about it.
decapitated head just smashed on the ground. I'd be like, I would at least like do a look around to make sure. I don't know, like,
Am
is there
I
any more
next?
coming? Am I
Yeah.
next? Let me just try to read the situation as best as I can before moving
No,
forward.
he just goes for it.
And he knows exactly where to go. He's like, hey, let's take this. We're going to go to the pencil factory. Which, I mean, the fact it's not really a pencil factory. It's just like one dude in the seedy room in the back that has a pencil machine. Um,
And this
but
is this is the part of the movie where I'm like, when what year is this taking place? Like, is this supposed to be in the 70s? Because these dudes feel very old-timey,
a little bit.
right?
I mean, kind of. I mean, what's old timey to you? Like
I
50s?
mean, I'd say pre-50s.
Oh, really? I was going to say they didn't look any older than like maybe like from the 50s, but
I was thinking like 30s to 40s.
hmm, this kid takes this head to this pencil factory or pencil making place. The guy, I forget his name. Is it like Paul or something? Like the dude that
Yeah.
works at the front desk. He
Yeah.
immediately just starts buzzing because I would too. If some
Yeah.
little fucking kid comes in just holding a decapitated head, I'm like, help, please. I need someone else to help me navigate this. No, thank you.
Yeah, he's like, I don't like this at all. This isn't what I signed up for in this job.
But the boss comes out and he's like, shut the fuck up, Paul. I'm gonna keep calling him Paul. And
I think that
come here,
sounds right though.
come on, kid. Let's look at this head. Let's try it out.
Yeah.
And because I need to know if the product is good before I can invest.
Mm-hmm.
So the kid takes the head.
It is
Everyone's
Paul.
still following. Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, see, there you
Good
go.
job.
Takes the head to the back. The pencil making man says, let me take a look. And he like drills out a long eraser out of his head.
While the child is still holding the head, like he's holding it
Yes.
steady for him. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that that was an eraser that came out of his head.
And that's, hey,
Hence
everybody,
the
that's
eraser head.
Eraserhead. That's, and here we are. That's why it's called Eraserhead. Um,
I
because
did
he,
not realize.
it's this long eraser, and then he sticks it like inside, again, very phallic still. Takes this
Uh-huh.
little wiggly pink eraser and just sticks it in this hole. And then it starts just chopping off like little quarter inch, eighth inch size little pieces
Ah.
to attach to the pencils. And then he tests out the, he draws something with the pencil and then tests out the eraser. And he's like, all
Okay,
right.
I did not understand what was happening at all.
And he goes, this one's okay. He's like, hey, this head's good. Let's use this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hen- Henry then
Is this a
wakes up,
dream? Yeah, I'm like,
I
is this a
guess.
dream?
Like I said, it's hard to tell when any of it starts and when any of it stops. But I mean, I think that's also, I think like the nature of dreams, right? And very, surreal experiences. Have you ever had a dream where like you woke up and it like felt so real that you like had it took a minute for you to be like, oh wait, never mind. That is not a thing that actually happened. It was just such
Yes.
a vivid memory.
Yes, many times.
Just like there have been times where I have woken up from a dream to realize I'm still in the dream.
Ew, I don't like that at all. I don't think that's ever happened to me.
Yeah, that's some like Nightmare on Elm Street shit. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I remember that once where like, yeah, I was like being chased by
Mm-mm.
this like monster, and then like I ran into my house or something happened, I forget. And the next thing I know, I'm in bed. And like it's, at night, just when I went to bed, and I'm like, oh God, thank God, you know. And then I like pulled the sheets down and it's sitting right there on top of the fucking bed
Ugh,
with me. Oh, Jesus Christ. But it felt so real, but
that's terrible.
eh, I've had some I don't have I don't remember any of my dreams anymore. Not very often at all. But
That's
I used to
sad.
have very vivid dreams when I was a kid. So I don't know.
I have very vivid dreams. I do remember them, but they're usually not scary. They're just weird and intense, but not never scary.
Oh, that's good. Like I said, Henry wakes up, I think. Um,
I think.
he gets up, he looks out the window, and I think he's like seeing someone being attacked, like a random like mugging or something, maybe.
Yeah. I feel like didn't really have anything to do with anything.
No, I don't think so.
No.
So he then also starts hearing like some noises. I can't tell if it's like coming from like the hallway or from upstairs.
Hmm.
Um, a little bit of noise, a little bit of music. Um, and then he hears some steps and goes across the street and knocks on the neighbor woman's door. No answer.
Hmm.
He comes back inside, and
Because
this
she's probably
baby,
already at the hospital giving birth to another mutant baby.
maybe, um, this baby not only is not doing his gasping, gurgling thing anymore, but this petty little fuck's kind of laughing at him now.
I would not have known that that was laughter if this I had subtitles on. If the subtitles didn't say cackling, I wouldn't have known that that was laughing, but I was like, "Oh, that's so much worse than the crying.
It is. It's so
So much
off-putting.
worse."
Oh my gosh. And then especially when he goes out in the hall again after hearing another noise and like seeing that the neighbor woman is home to
Mhm.
find out that dang, she it was just one and done for him.
Mhm.
She just threw him right away. She's got a new gentleman collar.
Good for her.
And I'm also like, bro, you're married. Like, be
Yeah.
cool. Like, let's not act like you're the fucking victim here, dude. Be
Yeah,
cool.
she's doing that every week.
Yeah. So he goes back inside. Baby's just laughing at him. It's like, you stupid fuck. You stupid fucking loser. And the other thing too, like which makes sense kind of to what you're talking about, that like maybe he is not human himself, is because I think from this point, when we see him with the human head, that's just like how we are seeing him. The
Hmm.
rest of the other characters are still seeing him with that worm baby head.
Yeah.
So that's why she's probably like, I definitely made the right choice by not coming back, because no thank you. But also recognize that it's him.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
don't
mean,
know.
he's wearing his clothes. He's got the same body.
So he's back. He's sad. Baby's laughing. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to cut up that little mummy baby.
Yeah, I would have been real curious a long time ago what was under the bandages.
Right. So he grabs a pair of scissors and starts slicing up. And oh boy, turns out that baby's not got no skin, Natalie.
You would think.
Or the bandages are the skin. I don't know. That's its
I don't,
protective shell. I don't know.
I'm not sure, but you would think that the hospital, the doctor, even if you had no clue what this thing is, that you would share with Mary, hey, just so you know, this guy didn't have skin. So we
Mhm.
bandaged him up, hoping that maybe some skin would form because he was premature. Who knows? Definitely tell Henry that because he needs to know as well. Because your first inclination would be like, oh, we need to change these bandages or, like clean them up, something. So I think those bandages would have been unwrapped way sooner. It is disturbing when he cuts them open.
I'm still feeling bad for this baby because it's like it opens up and you see all that's like guts and shit,
Oh,
all just all wet and
because it doesn't even
pussy
have
and
body parts. It's not just skin. Like it's just its internal organs just in a blob.
sitting there, yeah, in a small little
Yeah.
pile, in a blobby pile, and
Ugh.
it's like coughing up blood, it's screaming in pain. I'm like
Mhm.
still feeling like, oh my God, like why? I still want to love this thing. I still want to love this baby.
He made it way fucking further than I would have.
So he's like, let's start stabbing at these little organs.
It just
We already
there's
got this far. Let's finish the job.
uh-huh.
But that's not gonna work. So,
Yeah.
because as the baby's screaming, right, it starts getting bigger. You also have that little worm in that box. Remember that one that escaped the little
Mhm.
cabinet?
Mhm.
I think that's turned into a long sperm that's like flailing around also in the room.
Yeah, he should have smushed that one too.
Yeah. The baby starts getting bigger. I love these shots of like the head in different places, this giant fucking
That
monster head.
whatever that like the blood starts turning into some sort of foaming pus,
Yeah.
something. I don't know what's happening there.
It's just like put a little hat on that thing, like a green hat, and put him in a little apple car, and he's like that worm from the world of Richard Scarry. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that little like yodeler hat, I think is what it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his little apple car, you
Uh-huh.
know? That's weird. I don't understand a car made out of the food you eat,
It
you
wouldn't
know?
be very long term, we'll say.
Yeah, right. Yeah, especially
Compostable
because like,
car.
yeah, man, that was yeah. I don't know. That's like this is how I'm gonna fight climate change. It doesn't matter
I have an
how
Apple
many
car.
jet doesn't matter how many jet trips, Taylor Swift takes. I've got my little Apple car, you know. I'm doing my part. So the baby's getting bigger. I think he cut to like the testicle planet that's now burst wide open.
Mm.
You've got the lever dude inside. He's like, I can't pull the lever. I get it. I can't perform under huge stress either. So that's what I'm getting here. That's not happening. And then essentially then he's just surrounded by this like blinding white light.
Mm.
And then we see Moonface Girl again.
Mm.
They embrace. And I mean that's the end of the movie.
It sure is.
Yeah. Hey everybody. And that's why it's called Eraserhead.
Wow.
That's a cool name though. I like that.
It is. Yeah.
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 Hmm.
Yeah. Uh, So
How do you not like this movie? What's going on?
this is the thing. I knew that talking about it would be more fun than actually watching it. I can't imagine that I will ever rewatch this movie ever again, unless it's to show it to someone to be like, is it just me? Am
Hmm.
I the only one? That would be the context in which I would watch it again. And I probably would just be watching them watch the movie, not
Hmm.
actually watch it myself. Maybe for clarity on some things, but I think if you watch this movie again, trying to look for clarity or trying to come up with your own theories, I just don't have the energy for that. I don't have the energy to sit and figure out what this movie is supposed to be about. You tell me, David Lynch, you tell me what your movie is about, And one of the most interesting things that I read was that he won't tell people what the movie is about because he wants the audience to interpret it the way Kyle did. So lovely.
Yeah, it's the movie is about testicles, right?
Yeah. So if you ever get the chance, you should ask David Lynch. It's about testicles. But
You're like,
to
ah,
me,
you got me.
to me, that sounds like he's like, you know what? I just came up with some crazy shit and I'm going to just let people think it's really deep and profound and full of all this like hidden meaning. But really, I don't know. I don't know. So I just, I was bored while I was watching parts of it and then like, what the fuck is happening at other parts of it?
Mhm.
And I like things that have a slow burn. I can watch slow movies, but there needs to be enough, like, you can only be slow or not make sense. You can't do both because you're going to lose Natalie real quick. And that's what
Mm,
happened here. But it was very fun to talk about
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think
and some fun
you're
imagery.
one. Yeah, absolutely. And I
Hmm.
think that's, completely valid interpretation, right? I
Yeah,
think, I don't know. It's like when someone paints something, they're just like, I don't know. I just kind of, you just let emotions just fucking drive you. And especially when it's
that's
like
fair.
very surrealist, like weird, like not, I don't know, whatever type of
Like
art.
abstract.
Yeah, that's the word I was
Hmm.
looking for. Um, it's like when you put like a piece of art out into the world, you're like, I don't know what the fuck happened. I just made it, maybe it is up to you to interpret what this is and what that means to you. Because it
Yeah.
also doesn't like, I don't know. I don't think I need to be told what feelings I should be getting from this or how I should be understanding it.
No, no. But
Mhm.
when that is the case, like with art, there's always a chance that someone's going to be very moved by it and feel like they understand it and love it, no matter how weird, off putting. Maybe some people think it's ugly, maybe other people think it's beautiful. You're also going to have the other people that are like, I don't get it. And it doesn't mean that they don't get all art, it just means that they don't get your art or that particular piece, which I think is fine.
Maybe that baby is like a metaphor for that, where it's like, look, I mean, it's not like I'm against babies. It's just this fucking baby makes no
Yeah.
sense to me, and I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
And whereas I'm like, oh, maybe it's a little, look, let's put a little hat on it. I want to take it home and love it,
Yeah. So,
know?
I went real hard on this with the negativity, but I'm going off of the feeling that it invoked, not the conversation that I had about it. Sometimes the conversation can lift my score and I'm thinking about it, but I know I'm getting ahead of myself for sure.
Quick, before we do that, are there any taglines?
There are taglines for this movie, which I actually didn't expect.
Mm,
Also, this isn't the oldest movie that we've talked about. Rocky Horror Picture Show came out before this.
yeah, by 2 years. Yeah, 75.
Hmm.
Thanks.
And it had taglines too. So I think taglines have been forever since film, I think.
This this summer, this Casas Blanca.
Okay, we've got five taglines. Two are very similar, so I'm going to start with those. Be warned, the nightmare has not gone away.
Okay.
Then you have warning, the nightmare has not gone away.
I like the
I'm,
first one.
I'm assuming the nightmare being watching this movie.
Gosh, get out of here. Next.
In heaven, everything is fine.
Love it because it's the song.
Yes, it's the song. Where your nightmares end.
Hmm.
So a lot of nightmare themes going on here.
Right, right.
And last, maybe not least, a dream of dark and troubling things, which is the nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, it could be workshopped a little bit, but yes.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think in
yeah,
in
those are all
heaven
fine.
everything is fine is fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't really tell you much about the movie, any of the taglines, but
Yeah.
what could?
Yeah, I mean, you want people to see the movie, right? So you can't actually say like what the movie's about because then people won't want to go.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are your taglines.
Okay. Boo scores. Who wants to go first?
Do you want me to go first?
I can go first. I can be real quick.
Okay, I'm so curious what yours is.
I hadn't seen this movie before. I am very happy I watched it.
Hmm.
I would not recommend this to the vast majority of people.
Mhm.
But I think also like, if you're into it, if you like the weird visual shit, and of course if you like his aesthetic, I
Mhm.
mean, I, I mean, this movie's, in like the National Archives for a reason. I think it's very technically proficient and
Mhm.
its
Got good
own.
practical effects too.
Oh yeah, I love like
Mhm.
just that baby. I love the practical effects and making that little monster baby. I
The
loved
monster
it.
baby is great.
Monster baby is great,
Mhm.
and I really like just the vibe of the whole movie. I think everything's pretty creepy. I think some of the creepiness also came, so I pay for HBO Max, but only the one with the commercials because I'm kind of cheap. So there was a part where the moon face lady comes out, but you only get like 1/2 second of her and she steps out of the darkness
And then it
and it
goes to
cuts
a
to
commercial.
commercial. And I was like, what the fuck was that? So that helped a little bit. So yeah, I think this movie is really solid, but it's not my favorite of
That
David
can't count
Lynch.
towards your boo score, the commercial cut, just so you know.
No. I am gonna go down the middle and give this 3 boos.
Okay.
How about you?
Okay. I am going to try my best to not let this conversation skew my boo score too much. I came into this conversation immediately after the movie ended. Immediately after this movie ended, I said 1 boo. That is my boo score. I wrote it down. I put
Okay.
1 boo, which would be my lowest boo score. And the reason for that is because I was very bored and very confused. Two things that I don't want to be bored and confused at the same time. If I'm confused, I want to be excited or like just mind blown.
Like
And
Fast and the Furious.
yeah,
Like
and I
what's going on, but I love it.
sure. But I went into this movie with really low expectations because I tend to not do well with definitely not with the 60s. The 70s is very hit and miss for me, but some of the people that have asked me to watch this movie, I don't always agree with their taste on films. So I went into this knowing that I probably wouldn't like it. So I actually gave it a really low bar to start with, too. I almost was going to raise it to a boo and a half because this was a really fun conversation and I really liked your theories, but I'm going to keep it at 1.
I love that.
I did not enjoy watching this movie.
Would you recommend this to anybody?
Yes, I would recommend this to probably someone who's already seen it, and that would be my brother-in-law, who you know, who probably loves this movie.
Yeah. Or would you recommend this to your enemies?
No. Because they'd be like,
Not even
oh
your
God.
enemies?
They'd be like, God, she loves stupid movies, which I do. But I would not recommend this movie. I would only recommend this movie to people who specifically say that they enjoy David Lynch. And if they were like, oh, I've never seen that before, I'd be like, you should watch it. But I wouldn't give it like my like I wouldn't say because I love it.
Clearly.
Yeah, clearly.
I love
So
that. I like that you stuck to your guns. I appreciate
I
that.
did. So that's my lowest
Um,
boost score yet.
Dang. Okay. So, anything else you need to say about this movie before we wrap up? Before we wrap this little baby back up?
No, I feel like I was pretty harsh on it. And I would be really curious to hear other people's theories that don't have to do with testicles if anyone has any. Or if they do. I mean, I'm open to it as well. You could
If they
share
have
all your theories.
testicles or if they have other opinions?
Other testicles?
What? I know what you meant. Don't even worry about it. That's all I got to say. Too. So,
Same.
all right. Well, take care, everybody. I hope you had a good time. I hope you had a better time than Natalie watching
Me
this movie.
too. I hope everyone did. I hope I'm the only one.
I thought it was perfectly fine, just like heaven. All right, everybody. Three, two, one, ghost.
Thanks for listening to our episode on Eraserhead. If you've been enjoying our podcast, subscribe and leave us a killer review on whichever platform you choose to listen. You can find us on Instagram at 321GhostPod and give us a follow. We're very active on Instagram and would love to hear from you. You can shoot an email to 321ghostpod@gmail.com to share any thoughts, questions, or recommend a movie you'd like to hear us chat about. You won't be hearing from us next week because we are on vacation now. We'll be taking the month of September off to celebrate a full year of posting weekly episodes. You're welcome. But don't worry, we'll be back in time to kick off spooky season. Not to mention, there are 57 other episodes you can catch up on. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in October. 3, 2, 1, ghost.